David Toborowsky from 90 Day Fiancé is celebrating his big wins since leaving Annie Suwon and their baby in Thailand for a new adventure. David and Annie's journey has been one full of ups and downs. David and Annie have a 24-year age gap, which affected their decision to start a family. David also faced money problems when he met Annie, but becoming reality TV celebs turned their lives around. Not only did David become successful financially, but he also decided to have a baby with Annie. David and Annie moved to Thailand after she became pregnant and welcomed their daughter Minthira there. However, David recently left Annie and flew to the Philippines on a solo trip. David is now talking about how different his life would have been if Annie's K1 visa hadn't been approved. David shared a photo collage of Annie on the beach in Phuket, Thailand, where she wore a blue two-piece swimsuit while playing in the sand. The photo was taken 8 years ago when David and Annie were waiting for her K1 visa for America. David revealed that he had plans to go back to China if the visa wasn't approved. He would have gone back to teaching in China. David added that 8 years later, life is looking very different for him and Annie. She is now a U.S. citizen, and they have an almost 4-month-old baby, with Minthira being 3 months and 3 weeks old now. Life is amazing, David wrote in conclusion. In a different post, David explained that it's been a year since they flew home from Los Angeles after the embryo transfer. He wrote, "We didn't know if it would take the first time, but we were so lucky to have little Minthira." David recently left Thailand without his wife and baby to complete important documentation for Minthira. Ever since Annie became pregnant, the couple had decided she would give birth in her home country, ensuring Minthira could have both U.S. and Thai citizenship. While Minthira now holds both passports, she still needed a social security number, which was something David could only obtain from the U.S. Embassy in Manila. David's impromptu trip may have worried some fans, but his new post reflecting on the last 8 years with Annie proves their love is stronger than ever. Since meeting Annie and joining 90 Day Fiancé, David has transformed into a completely different man. He might sometimes wonder how life would have turned out if he'd never met or married her, but it's clear he wouldn't trade it for anything. David could have spent the rest of his life struggling financially, with an estranged family and children who had no interest in reconnecting, but as his career took off, he also managed to rebuild the relationships he once thought were lost for good. It may be his greatest accomplishment, second only to his successful marriage with Annie and the arrival of their miracle baby, Minthira. David wants to prove to his critics that he has made it so far despite the criticism that came his way. David was slammed for dating and marrying someone younger than his children and for distancing himself from his family. However, each day, David proves that he is now a family man. David is successful even in his new role as a real estate agent, and by the looks of it, the 90 Day Fiancé star is just getting started.